Hello, Susan. Welcome, everybody. I have Miss Susan Mcleod here today, and we are going to be talking about AI. And we are honored to have her in our presence because I love her to death. She's a total boss babe, and she just knows so much about so much. I just want everybody to just have a little insert in what she knows about business and AI and how it's really changing everything. This is a hot topic. It's business, personal, like everything. So I know that you've led global teams and you've shaped customer experiences and now help businesses navigate evolving in the world and integrative AI. But before we dive in, how would you describe the heart behind what you do?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here with you. Ashley and I have been friends and partners in crime now for many years, and we both worked and grown together. So I love having this conversation with you now.
Yeah.
I've been in IT for over 20 years, technology. I have led global teams, as you said, working with services, solutions, and over the past 2 to 3 years, really dove into AI and artificial intelligence and how we utilize it in our business, actually rolling it out for businesses that I worked in and my teams, and now as advisors working with other companies as they prepare their AI solutions.
That is amazing. I think that's just so eloquent how it speaks. So great. Your brain just fascinates me. So what drew you into the IT and ultimately into the IT solutions and transformation, like now with AI at the front and center?
Yeah. So overall, IT, I just love solutioning for companies. I have a degree in behavioral psychology. And so I love working with people. I love helping people define and working with them to define what they want to roll out from their technology side. And then, of course, I love working with teams and building teams.
Yeah.
So personally and just overall people wise, it's just something I thrive on. With AI, what I'm really excited now is about, AI is designed by humans for humans. So everything that I am passionate about personally with the people has to play into how companies design their AI solutions. So I know there's a lot of people that are just thinking about it's going to take over the world. It's the automation and technology. And look, it's taken over a lot of things, but it really is designed by us as human. We talk about human-centered for businesses and for people as well. So we have to really think about it that way.
Yeah, and that's a good viewpoint because it really is taking over, but there's always a perspective of it all. And I think you with the teams and people, that's one thing we've always connected because me and you both love to connect with people, love to build teams around different like hot topics. And I just think it's perfect. But I have some other questions and I have to look because she's so sophisticated. I have to have notes to make sure that I have all the right things.
So we're good.
Okay, so we've shared that AI isn't just a tech trend and it requires thoughtful investment and strategy and measurable outcomes. So what do you believe businesses often get wrong when rolling out AI?
Well, one of the things I think businesses really have to look at and pinpoint is what are they trying to accomplish? So what are their business pain points? What's that low-hanging fruit of what they're trying to solve? And they need to start there. Right? If you go in too big of a problem you're trying to solve, you're not giving yourself the opportunity, or businesses aren't giving them the opportunity to play it out and pilot it. I've always recommended that you start with very targeted, impactful business outcomes you want to achieve, and then target that, pilot that, get some successes, get some wins, learn from that, and then roll it out to larger problems. A lot of companies are going in and they just want to roll it out across their total environment, all in. You have to prove it out and you have to take it in different phases, different steps. And one of the things that I've been working with peers of mine on, and I've launched a blog on Unleashing the Power of Female Leadership in Generative AI, is just to that point. There's so many people that have done this successfully. And from the lens of female leaders, really getting different insights as part of the blog that I'm working with these women on how is it working in their industry. So we've got people specifically within IT and technology, people in sustainability and energy, also life sciences and pharma. How are they seeing it being ran, launched, and change management successfully in their organization?
I think that is amazing and fascinating how you can get the different pockets of people together and that are like-minded but yet so diverse, and that is what we're all about here. And I will be including her blog at the end in our show notes too. So I'm excited for you guys to have a personal experience with Susan on her growth pattern that she has with her blog. Now, can you give an example of a time when a company got it right and the benefits gained as a result?
Absolutely. So, and what I just talked about in going after very targeted outcomes. I've worked with a couple clients and even the companies that I've been at prior, where we went in and we identified those very targeted outcomes that you want to achieve, and you focus in on designing your solution set for that, and the savings or the projected time savings from people you want, from the individuals on your team you want to achieve. And I've seen that done very well. So there's a lot of examples we can point to where companies are doing some great things with it. Again, it's just working through that change management successfully to get to the right outcome. So yes, there's a lot of really good things happening out there with it and trying to manage.
That's exciting. And I think it's just all about awareness. People just freak out when there's any kind of change. The more we can bring awareness to what and how to approach different things, the mindset, and really utilize the change to our benefit. What is it meant by human-centered applications of AI? When I heard you mention that earlier.
Yeah, I briefly stated it earlier. So AI is designed by humans for humans. So it's your AI solutions in an organization or a business are only as good as the data that we as humans feed into it and the models that we develop. So it is very much human-centered and human-centric as to how organizations plan for their models. The data feeding in, again, is absolutely critical. It has to be clean. It has to be vetted. You have to trust the data. And that's what's going to feed the output of the AI solutioning. So human-centric is key. And that's to your point about, we must embrace it. It's going to happen. Companies are going to launch it. So you can't just put your head in the sand and ignore it or not want to learn. If you are still, especially those that are just starting in their career and mid-career, you really need to embrace it and start doing the research and really using it daily, even if it's just to help you manage your calendar. I mean, there's day-to-day benefits of using it just to help individuals, much less how it's managing security and how it's managing, organizations and how they run their business.
Yeah, I know this is a little off topic, and I'll get back to the next one, but I just kind of had a thought, like, if it kind of helps, it could be utilized to help us run more efficiently, because I found that people younger have more at their fingertips to go faster, further than what took us maybe decades to achieve.
That's absolutely it. And people have to look at it that way. Yes, it's a little scary, but it does help you become more efficient. Something that I would do prior, say I'm going to write a new job description for a role. I would have to start from scratch or maybe take an old job description, go back, re-edit it for a brand new role. Now I can take that prior job description and I can just feed it into my generative AI. I use ChatGPT, OpenAI, mainly, and just say, hey, I want, please create an updated job description for this role with outcomes that look like this, with key performance indicators or KPIs that are like this, and it'll auto-generate that job description for me, and it'll get me 70% of the way there, and then I just take that and I update it and make it my own. I take it to 100%, but it can get you, instead of starting from scratch and writing or creating a presentation, it can get you 70% of the way there, and then you take that and you complete it on your own. So it's a huge time savings. And that's what people really have to look at and find a way to use it in their day-to-day life to help them manage to be more efficient.
Because then you can get back to the things you really want to do, live life versus always be working.
Yes. And that's what businesses are wanting for people to do, right? They're creating and they're wanting them to use these tools so that they can become more efficient and help them in their day-to-day. And then personally, like you and I, right? Let's say we're creating our shopping list, or we're, whatever we're doing day-to-day. You can just track what you use within whatever Bing or Copilot or ChatGPT use. You can track it in there, and then you can pop up on a Sunday and say, hey, give me my updated shopping list based on what I normally buy. And it just spits it out instead of you starting from scratch.
And it makes us more efficient. Amen to that. I really need some of that. We can embrace it.
We need that.
Totally. We can be 3 or 4 people, maybe even a team, and it's just one. Yes. So in a world leaning heavily into automation, kind of on cue of what we were just talking about, we've emphasized the growing need for empathy, communication, and human skill sets. What does that balance look like for leaders today?
So that's a great question. When you talk about human-centered, and this is where so much of the debate comes in about artificial intelligence, it really is coming into biases in the data. So when you think about the human connection and communication, this is where that the data management and the governance of your AI solutioning is absolutely critical. We need to make sure that we're feeding there's no biases in the data that we're submitting. So how we train models or how companies train models, you're getting all different types of diverse ideas, thoughts, diversity, so that it isn't a bias. And I think if you look at what governments and companies are trying to do, they're really trying to establish a good governance board over their AI rollouts to make sure those biases are minimized.
Yeah, and then in like human world, it's almost like being raised, I mean, being brought up by different people. It's
Absolutely.
having other influences, and they're trying to streamline it to just kind of have everybody trained the same,
Exactly.
which is efficient.
Yeah, and
Right.
that's exactly a great way to think about it for those
Mhm.
that aren't in the technology field and you
Yeah.
hear about this governance. That is a great
You guys are hearing how I'm processing it in my brain. This is like right brain and left brain right here today. But so another question is, how do we see this shaping the next generation of leadership, especially for women? We mentioned women earlier.
So I saw a quote the other day on LinkedIn, and it was an ad, right? I'm not sure exactly what it was an ad for, but it said basically targeting younger women leaders, that if you are not using AI today, you will not be employed in 5 years. So it's really targeting those younger women coming out that they have to adopt and learn and really dive into AI, because that is definitely where the future is going. It doesn't have to be in technology, right? It's any businesses. So I think for young women coming out, it's looking and understanding how it works, how you can use it in your day-to-day life, and also what does it mean for the job market, because the job market's changing. And I actually think this is a better thing for women, not to just stereotype, but I would say traditionally women are very good communicators. And if you think about the roles of the future, that communication skill, because we're now training, looking at the data, we're training the models, we're making sure that what's fed into the models is actually how we communicate, the user interfaces, how we communicate as individuals, that is accurately reflected. And I think for females, it's a great opportunity for future roles.
Yeah.
So I do think, looking forward to see how is the job market going to change in 10 years for the younger generation, your girls that are coming up, is going to be really important.
That's gonna be fascinating.
Yeah.
Like for people to actually be able to communicate across the board, like synergetically, you know what I mean? That's awesome. So kind of leading into that, like with the leading women innovation, like how do we keep and remain well balanced mentally, physically, and on that very fast paced time? Like a lot of people are like kind of scared, like we're gonna be like robots and stuff like that. What is your take on that?
That's a great question. And I think I'm glad you're asking this question, because Ashley and I know each other through wellness and health and well-being, just how we've met. And you can tell by Ashley, she's extremely fit and gorgeous lady. So I just think that with this, we have to as well manage we can't lose sight of what's important to us and makes us human and makes us healthy. So we have to protect our own individual time, our own individual uniqueness, make time for exercise, just mindfulness or yoga, or I know you and I both love the gym.
Yes,
so,
yes.
We are gym people, but I think we just have to really protect that.
Yeah, and now this would be giving us more time to do some of that stuff.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people say, well, I don't have time for this. But like, hey, I just slayed my whole work list like in an hour, or something like that. Now I have time to go to the gym or take my kids somewhere.
On a personal note, that's exactly it. In the business side, you're going to find that it gives you more time just to work, which is a great thing for productivity. But individuals do need to make sure that they take time for themselves. Post-COVID, there's so many videos and conference calls back to back to back to back. Ladies, everyone, men and women, need to make sure they're blocking time for themselves to get out, go for a walk, take your dog for a walk, go to the gym, do some yoga, just even whatever it is you need to do to be mindful. So we do need to protect that.
Yeah, and time blocking is a big thing.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up, because couldn't do anything without time blocking.
Yes. Just your day would get sucked up.
So you initiated your blog, and her blog is called The Unleashing the Power of the Female Leadership in Generative AI. I just find that so cool. I love that. What was the most powerful story or takeaway from that experience?
What I learned from this, and you said this earlier, we've got so many diverse females participating in the blog, which is what I love about it, because I'm highlighting individuals, and they're actually authoring the blogs. And then I'm just adding the context around it and kind of tying it back in. But very different stories and experiences. But to your point, as you said earlier, we all seem to have this common theme and goal of change management, helping people work through how to adopt AI to make sure that there's not biases, that people are being educated on how to use AI, and that message is going into enterprises of how to do this successfully. So it's been interesting to hear everyone and see what everyone's writings are, but that it all comes back to that common theme of advocating for people, making sure there's not biases, having governance, and then targeting very tactical business outcomes for success. And again, they're coming from pharma, they're coming from in the energy sector, IT. So it's been really interesting to see that.
Yeah, I love that vast variety of everything with it all. So like what would be some advice would you give to young women in tech who are trying to find their voice or earn a seat at that table?
I would say just keep working hard. You do your thing. You can't control what others are doing.
Alrighty. Well, now back to some new chapters of Miss Susan here. What about the global leadership lessons? Like, let's speak a little bit about that. Like, you've led, and I love this about her, talent across Brazil, China, US, and beyond. What's something you have learned about leadership that only becomes clear when managing across cultures?
That is a great question. So it's interesting in that I personally love learning about all the different cultures and working with such a diverse team. And what I found is, as a leader, if you outline your mission and your vision clearly for your organization, so everybody's got one path that they're marching down and walking down, and they know the mission that they're there to achieve, and it's all consistent globally. It's just unbelievable how such different cultures and people styles still come together and work together to accomplish those goals. And I think from a leadership perspective, that is the most important learning. Be very clear in what you want your teams and need your teams to achieve. Get that mission out and that vision out very clearly and articulately to everyone, and get buy-in. You want people to be a champion, and people can never have met in person and only be on conference calls, or maybe they've never even worked together, but there's an incident that they have to come together and work on. If you establish that foundation, it's incredible to see how global teams come together and work together for the same mission. And it's just incredibly empowering as a leader to see that.
Reflective too, I would think, like just to be like, people can work together that have differences, but we're all on the same playing field,
Right.
and we know what we're going for.
Yeah.
That's refreshing to hear, I would say. But like, how would you cultivate trust and unity in global teams?
That can be a challenge, especially when people, as we said, maybe they've never met before. One of the things that I found worked really well, I was very transparent. So open line of communication is as best as you can, right, with travel and your schedules. But I would hold continual global town halls, countrywide meetings, different regional meetings, trying to get everyone, even if they couldn't come together in person, but to be on calls and to invite different speakers, invite different leaders that worked in the country or within a region or territory to cover a topic, speak about a topic. So even if they didn't get to know that person in person, they were seeing them virtually, and they got to learn about what was happening in their country and their particular challenges and share that. And I think that's really important, and also gives people opportunities to start leading and growing themselves, being able to present and present about what their work.
Personal growth. And you also brought up another spark that kind of fired at me is like with the whole network marketing, how everybody has been doing that, and the teams come together on Zoom and they're from all over. And then we saw now with when COVID hit, no one supposedly didn't know how to do Zoom, and then now they all know how to do Zoom. And it's just so interesting. Yeah. But like certain people were already doing those things, which it seemed challenging to other people. But now it's now like, okay, would you want a phone call or FaceTime or Zoom? Like, what do you want to do? It's very interesting to be able to bring everybody together like that. And it does broaden, like you were saying with AI, like how you're putting certain resources into AI. It's like we are human, and it's like other humans are putting it into ourselves to help us personally grow. So I think when people stop growing personally a lot.
They can, right? You can get very busy in your day-to-day world or life or whatever your job is or your role, and you don't lift your head up and learn. And I think that's a great point, is if you're utilizing and be it the networking or communication tools, and you can share what you're doing out, you're also learning when you're helping other people learn, and you're going to learn from them.
I think me and you both love to do that.
And we like to talk, so we love to share.
Yes, we do. Sharing is caring. They always say, what is it? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
It's a good little motto to have. You've gone from executive leadership to a strategic advisory role in the data center and energy space. What shifted you personally or professionally that led to that transition?
So lots of growth and change. I had been leading a global customer success organization for 7 years and support. You can imagine that is hard to come up, like we were just saying, it's hard to come up and learn and want to evolve. So for me, making that change, while it was very tough to leave a team that I loved, I think it was probably the best thing that I could have done, because now it's put me in a position where I can go in as a strategic advisor and work with different companies and support different groups. And I'm learning. So I'm now learning more, diving into more of the renewable space, the energy space. And I've been working with a group called Envira Global since last September, an incredible group of people doing advisory work on renewable energy and sustainability, and also driving capital for sustainability. So it's been a great opportunity for me to learn and explore, and just like you said, kind of get my head out of the weeds and support specifically in an IT sector and start learning again. And that has been,
it's like birthing a new baby in a weird way. Because like I'm doing that with the podcast. Like, yes, I mean, yes. It's just really, it pushes me to kind of get out of the comfort zone, and I love that though. Like the challenge,
right? Like I never would have had the time to do that. And I was able to create that and just network with different people, talk to different people, and learn. Same with you.
I know, I love it. Iron sharpens iron, as they say. Right? Well, what have you gained from being in a position of influence without being in the trenches of execution every day?
I think as you get further into your career, I'm going to say further up the chain in corporate, you ultimately become more of an influencer. So one of the things that I've learned, other than, of course, leadership and building teams and mentoring, which I love working with people, you do ultimately switch into an influencing role, because you can only control, like I said earlier, what you can control.
Right.
But corporation, you need others and you need buy-in. So influencing is absolutely critical. You're not necessarily in the weeds, as you said, every day in the trenches, but you're influencing up and you're influencing around you. And that, back to that communication, it just reinforces how important that is. You can be the best at a coder, technical engineer, or whatever your practice is, a designer, but if you can't communicate and influence around you, you're going to be really limited in your growth potential.
It's so amazing how certain systems are synergetic. To me, it's just like, when I keep going to network marketing, because it's like you want to be duplicatable.
Yes.
You know, you want to duplicate, you want to empower. Like, it's not just one leader all the time. Like, that's not cool. You can reach more people, yes, with more people with that skill set. So that's kind of how I'm processing. It's like y'all are seeing like the human AI, like right here in front of us right now, how we're interpreting it. So, okay, let's lighten it up for just a few minutes and have some quick questions that are kind of like off topic, just a little bit. But what's a book that changed how you lead? Like, for all of us, like really nerdy people over here that love to read books. And stuff.
Okay, so I would say there's two. There's Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, who was the COO of Meta. Incredible book about, and actually an incredible book because it had very specific, applicable recommendations of how to manage negotiations or contracts, or just overall, even just diversity and biases is incorporation. A great read for women and young female leaders. And then, so on the fun side, I really liked Bossy Pants by Tina Fey, and hers was more of it had more comedy in it, and it was more for the artist and the creative mind, but working, like, for females working with mostly male industries. So you can imagine Tina Fey and,
right,
you know, the TV industry and the comic in her roles that she's had. But I thought that was a great book as well. So they're two very different books or types of books, but I loved both, and I think it gave great insight.
Well, I'm gonna have to check those out, and those will definitely be in the show notes as well for the ladies that are listening. So what's your non-negotiable morning?
I like to have my morning coffee and quiet time. And that's my time that I don't have any meeting. If you get up and you go straight into a meeting, well, you get up, you have coffee, you go straight into meetings, you don't really have time to level set. So I have my time in the morning where I have my coffee. I don't have anything on the calendar for the first 45 minutes. And then I'm really looking at my schedule. And I'm trying to make sure I've got everything lined up. If something's changed from the night before, the day before, then I can go in and I can manage it. But that's my morning, just foundational, what is your day going to look like? You should look at it the night before as well. But in that morning, give yourself some time just to get prepared for the day.
Like a little set.
Yeah.
All righty. So what is one quote or scripture that you live by?
Yeah, there's so many. I would say at the core, it comes down to focus on what you can control.
Yes.
At the base of everything, because there's so much out of our control, and we could just spend hours and days on it.
That is so true. And it kind of grounds you too. If you can just be like, can't control this. Focus on what you control. I love that. What is some of the best leadership advice you've ever received?
Best leadership advice. I have gotten a lot of great advice from prior leaders. I would say I had a female mentor when I was first getting started. One of the things she told me, I remember I was considering taking a job, and it was a big jump in the role. And I was questioning myself. And she's like, why would you question yourself? She's like, fake it till you make it. Get in, learn it. You will do great because you are like a continual knowledge and learner. She's like, just go for it. And I just remember she said, fake it till you make it. And I just started laughing. The overall guidance was, don't ever doubt yourself. If it's something you want to do, go for it.
Yeah. Just make a mess and figure it out how you do it. I love that. I kind of definitely do that.
I just don't normally say that, right?
Right. I feel like you have to know everything. Yeah. But really, I think you learn more by being forced to be in those outlets, right?
Agreed.
So what is one thing that you know now that you wish you knew 20 years ago?
I think it's going to come back to what I just said, which is when I had first started just going for everything and not questioning myself. I didn't get that bit of advice until I was maybe halfway through my career, maybe 7 years in, 7 years in. I wish I would have been told that when I was just coming out of school or just starting to get into the IT technology. I was a little more timid. So I wish I would have just gone for more when I was much earlier.
It's like that confidence. It's like sometimes we always say, well, it takes time to build that confidence, but sometimes when you're in front of people or around people in that community, their age, their experience can give you that confidence at an earlier age, and that's what AI is going to be doing for all of us too, just by giving that different confidence, because knowledge is key, right? Yeah. That's what we always say as well. So, okay, we're going to just have some final reflections, so what would be the legacy you hope to leave, not just professionally, but in how you showed up for people?
That as I look at retirement down the road, people that have worked with me really remember not just the results that I've gotten over the years, but how I've made them feel as a leader. And I very much care about teams. Probably at times I care too much. But for me, I hope it's that they remember how I made them feel or empowered them to do their job.
That is amazing. And that makes you a good person. Well, I feel that we have covered a whole bunch. We have. And it was really nice. And some people think, talking about like technology and stuff can be very boring. But I think feeling like coming from a platform and a niche of people that are women, that are relatable, and I feel that we figure things out through communication. It's just a great way of awareness, because people might be like, never thought about that. The busy mom that is struggling with all the things, or the business person that's trying to juggle all the things, it's like that person could have an assistant, you never know.
I'm so happy when you asked me to join you, because I know you're talking to a very different group of people than at times maybe I'm talking to in the technology world. But I agree. I think this is just knowledge for everyone, how to make their lives easier. How do you use it to, like you said, shopping lists or busy moms, or you're trying to create something, and how can you use AI to help every day just be easier, more efficient, and just to gain knowledge.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming and joining us here. I feel like everything's gone full circle for guys and girls, ladies, I should say. Susan has been with me from the beginning of my time, I feel like, in seeing my whole journey in business, before kids, after kids, marriages, all the things. And so I feel like this is a big glow up moment for both of us, because we both are taking leaps of faith in different ways, and we're just challenging ourselves. And I love that.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for listening. And we will put all the show notes down below, and we'll put her blog information in there so you can follow her on her blog and catch the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.